Reed here. How's it going, guys? How you doing? Today, I'm going to continue my series on Tupac was an actor. In today's version, on this chapter, we're going this in this chapter, we're going to talk about Tupac in terms of being a saint, right? And in this case, he's a saint caught between two psychopaths, right? Um, I'm going to help teach you a concept. I'm going to try to help you look at things. Remember, I'm not a Christian, but everything Jesus said, and he taught you how to deal with the narcissist, right? Uh, and everything Jesus said prepares you for confrontation and battle with these people, right? And Jesus said, you're not dealing in flesh and blood, meaning you're not dealing with just a narrative that Tupac was an actor and hit him up and Brenda had a baby and all that content. You're not caught up into all that content, right? You're not dealing with flesh and blood, but power and principalities in high places. That means the dark forces that were around Tupac at the time that was constantly getting at him, that continued to make attempts on his life. Why? Because he had the dual chamber mechanism. He had lower self and access to his higher self. And when he developed to the point where he had access to his higher self, that was the purest form of energy that you can give any of them. And these sociopaths love it. That's why he was so valuable. But him, just like many other empaths and people who have empathy, are trapped and constantly stalked and targeted by these people. They represent the darkness. They represent the power and principalities that Jesus spoke about. And I'm going to tell you in modern day times who they are and how to identify them, right? And we can just look at the story of Tupac. And if we go through a deeper dive under the surface and everything, we'll see that what happened to him was awful. Same thing that happened to Michael Jackson. It was the worst form of covert theft you can ever think of. And this strategy has been developed and matured and deployed and perfected and modified and things and enhanced. And when we look at how this technology has formed and how if we did this as a team, learned how this worked, then we can coordinate these things. And you know what that's called right now? 5D warfare. Yep, all out war. It's a war for your ego. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. The bombs don't work anymore. The bullets don't work anymore. The big bomb certainly ain't gonna work. So everybody's at a stalemate, right? Russia take Ukraine, Israel take Gaza, right? Tit for tat. It's gonna die down, then the world's gonna go back to where it was, right? Let me tell you this. So Tupac was a saint, but he was caught between two psychopaths. And one of the psychopaths was Puffy in New York, who tried to unalive him there. And then he ran to Suge, who's a psychopath there, and unalived him there, right? And he's trying to find out, they're trying, what's going on? Nothing is behaving the way I thought it would behave. Then I think I'm going to have to be like them, right? And then when he became like them, that's when all the problems started. And of course, they locked him into their role. They projected that as who he really is. That's the hallmark of being in contact with narcissists. They take everything you do and disavow it and take that one moment where you're having some type of issue and they broadcast that to everybody and that represent who you are, right? Isn't that the same thing that they've done to Tupac? Isn't it? even when he's portrayed in his lower self is always as a thug, not as an artist. And that's the darkness way of the people who are around him. That was a way for them to sort of bury out of mind into the shadow everything they did. They stole everything from him. Everything. Diddy, because straight up competition, and Suge Knight simply more profitable, right? He's more profitable. His estate now is probably worth more than it was back then, right? So let me show you this. I'm gonna give you a concept. Okay, please. Okay, let me go through here. And this concept that I'm going to show you, that when you're in this situation where you're caught between two psychopaths, that is a very dangerous situation you're in. You could never get into that situation. Because the chances of you surviving are slim. Right? The chances of you surviving are slim. Because the first psychopath is a doorway to a network. And in order for you to have contact with a second psychopath, that means that now you are inside of the network with no connection outside. Right? Let me understand what I'm saying. Okay, whenever you're in front of a narcissist, psychopath, or sociopath, you're not dealing with a person, you're dealing with a network. They are just the mirror that the psychopath, or sociopath who unalive them are viewing you through. So when you get caught in this configuration between both of them, that's a very dangerous situation. And let me just tell you how this organization is really bad. Like, let me give you an example of how to help you understand what I'm talking about. Let's say if you walking down the street in the middle at 3 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden you surrounded by a group of 10 people with bats. That configuration means you're not going to, the organization of that scene means you're not going to do well. You see what I'm saying? Right? So if you see yourself standing in front of a narcissist, psychopath, or sociopath, that is not a good situation at all. The fact that you are in their presence means that you're in danger. The fact that you're in your presence means that, hey, red light, you need to leave. Right? Because there's nothing good that's going to come out of this situation. Absolutely nothing. That narc, psychopath, and sociopath are there to do one thing: harm you. Right? And that's a node on the network, and everybody on that network is acting in sync. That's why when you get trapped between two of these type of characters within that structure, you tend to fully express their sociopathy without them having to do it for themselves. You become the vessel that they can express themselves through. If you don't believe this, let me go back to the video where Tupac was fighting.
Unlock more with Disney Plus.
Where's the video? Let me go back here. Okay, let me see. Okay, Tupac. Okay. Okay, Tupac fight at Tyson fight. Look at here. There he is right there. Okay, so let me show you here. There's Suge Knight. Look, there's Tupac. Look. Later. Look who's right behind him. Look. Here's Tupac. There's Suge. Right? Here's Tupac. There's Suge. There's the other sociopath. Right? That is that Tupac is playing a character in the movie. Right? Tupac took over the movie. Right? The sociopaths is in the background making sure he escalate the situation and nobody intervene, right? You ever been in those situations where you're doing something, the sociopaths around you change the people around you? You ever been, these people are awful. These people are sick. You ever been dealing with people and all of a sudden you're on the outs, but nobody around you let you know? That type of sick stuff. They stop by just to see you die. This is one of the things I've said about one of these people. I'm related to one of these people. I wrote a poem. The N-word stopped by just to see me die. He tried, N-word got a thrill trying to get me killed. Then N-word paid the loot when they tried to do me. And then he walked by like he never knew me. Man, that's the hallmark of these people. Let me just bleep it. The nigga stopped by just to see me die. The nigga got a thrill trying to get me killed. The nigga paid the loot when they tried to do me. And then he walked by like he never knew me. That's them. See? And you think they friends with you. You think they kicking it with you, man. You in a movie, bro. Just like Tupac here, playing the character as a gang. He's acting like the gangster. This is when the gangster go in to the casino and he go ahead and stomp my boy down. Then he jumps in the car and then they go ahead and they ride off into the middle of the night. They rolled off like the episode was over, right? Remember, they stop them out and then they jump in the car and then they just ride off into the middle of the night. Tupac's thinking that, hey, this is just how the movie goes. Why? Because I'm a character. Why? Because I am an actor, right? He didn't think that the unconscious snaps back instantly. He was unalive before he got home. And look, his buddy right there behind him, egging him on and preventing anybody from saying, Tupac, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So I'm going to try and give you this concept of that when Tupac was positioned between these sociopaths, two psychopaths, Puffy and what you call it, Puffy and Suge Knight, his chances were zero. That's why you can never get into that situation. I mean, listen, if he's stuck between two narcissists, or narcissist and psychopath, or psychopath and sociopath and narcissist, any of that combination, finito. Finito. Why? Because they work together. It's like a superposition. When one is up, the other one is down. So when one is targeting you, the other one is getting some rest. And then when you go to that one, when they target you, the other one gets the rest. I mean, this toggling back and forth drains all of your energy. There's no place for you to run. And then between these two poles, they determine your reality. If you said this happened, oh, they say that happened, everybody believes them. There's a concept that goes back to ancient times. Real ancient times. And this is a concept that has been true to all of humanity and everything. You reach for the things that are stable, not the things that are temporary. The things that do not change over time are the things that you believe in. Do not believe in the temporary. Don't believe. Tupac believed in the temporary. West Side till I die. No. Happy life until I die. not West Side. Why do I want to tie my life to a poverty restricted community? Right? I don't want to attach my life to the poverty. What I want to do? No West Side to it. No what? And then, of course, after he died, they all kicked it to the West Side. Puffy moved from the East Side to the West Side, and they all became billionaires. Right? So I'm gonna try to give you this concept. It's an ancient concept called, it's like a man between two felines. Okay, so these two felines are cats, and you usually have a man with two felines. And so many of our most historic figures have been a person, and then to the left and to the right are two lions, or two ladies, or two like obelisks or something like that. But there's something about that configuration like that that sort of unlocks potential energy. So, for example, imagine you had two really good friends, right? I mean, listen, most of us are out there by ourselves struggling with fake friends, right? With friends like them. You know the value of one good friend? You know the value of one friend. Oh my God, you get two, that triangle, oh my, that energy between you three will flow. I don't think there's a problem that you couldn't fix. I don't think there's a problem you can solve, but you try to do that thing by yourself, right? This configuration allows one to work and two to sleep, right? Perpetual vacation, right? This configuration allows two to work and one to sleep. This configuration allows three to work. So this concept between the man between two felines is a very solid concept if you want stability in your financial life, where you want two different types of assets behind you, right? You want this one and you want that one, right? You just don't, most of us don't have one. We have to work every week, and then every week, and we're still falling behind. Only a few of us can get an asset, one that's going to be stable for us. Now, this configuration, you get two different type of assets now. Hey, now that's different. Now you believe, now you understand what I'm saying now, right? So this concept of a man between two felines is a structure that's very stable. It's like a triangle, and the triangle will always land up on the right side, right? Right? And so I think it has more to do with being able to be compatible with the environment and move through the environment and sort of get to your goals and things like that. You can imagine, how hard you can compare three people working together with one person working together. So I'm gonna try to find the concept. Please explain the ancient concept of a man between two felines. So this concept dates like dozens of years. Okay, let me see. Okay. I'm glad it at least got me here. I have to find where I read the concept from too here. Okay. The concept of a man between two felines is not widely recognized or clearly documented in terms of ancient philosophy, mythology, or literature based on available sources. That's got so man, my sources are outside the Grok's reach. It may be a misinterpretation, a niche reference, or confusion about other symbolic or allegorical concepts or from ancient texts. However, I kind of explore related themes and clarify based on points in. Okay, great. One possible interpretation could relate to ancient narratives or allegories involving the central figure flanked by two opposing forces. Such symbols, yet often symbolizing moral, spiritual, or existential choices. All right, so here, great biblical imagery. In the Christian tradition, the crucifix scene where Jesus is crucified between two thieves, yeah, could be seen as a parallel. Yeah, that's another example. Look, this imagery found in the New Testament portrays Jesus as a righteous figure between two criminals, symbolizing redemption amidst sin or judgment. While not thousands of years old, this day draws the what you call it? Um, this I think I never thought about the crucifix, the crucifixion as an example of what I'm saying. Okay, because okay, you're caught between two criminals. Yeah, you on the cross, it's going to be a torturous death. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Okay. So I said I said do not get between two sociopaths because the odds of survival are none, right? And then the crucifix, Jesus Christ on the mound between two thieves is the same structure. He's there hanging between two thieves and what? Sure death, right? Sure death. Right. So this is yeah, this is so interesting. It's so interesting. Okay. Okay, let me see. Many ancient cultures, such as that feature a hero figure caught between two of four. Yeah, a hero figure, central figure caught between two opposing forces, gods, fates, and or moral dilemmas. There we are again. For instance, in Greek mythology, the figures such as Orestes, and that is torn between conflicting duties, avenging the father versus honoring the mother, which could be allegorical, likened to being between two felines, in terms of mythological or conflicting evils or choices. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, and then let's see. Okay, in ancient philosophy, particularly in Plato's Stoic teaching, individuals are often depicted as navigating between vice and virtue, or two extremes of behavior, while not explicitly called felons. The idea of a feline, the idea of a person standing between two negative forces, ignorance, access, or morale, resonates in the text of Plato's Symposium, or the Stoic concept of the sage beginning balance amid chaos. Yeah, see, yeah, I think this is saying exactly what I'm saying here. This is the Stoic concept of the sage maintaining balance amidst chaos. And so here, then that's why I'm saying, hey, Tupac was caught between these two sociopaths, and it was done for him. And what he needed a different structure. If he had two healthy people, then that connection would have produced a significant amount. It would put the significant amount of wealth, a significant amount of wealth. And actually, if you think what I'm saying, so okay, so he's caught between two sociopaths, Diddy and Suge Knight. Okay, that configuration was unalive. If you take the mirror image of that, just flip the whole thing upside down. So let's say that if this is the, let me show you something. Okay, let me show you something. Okay, try to show you something. Okay, look at this. Bad drawing though. Okay, look at this. Okay, that's the crucifixion, right? So if you between two psychopaths, that's sure death, right? And right now, let's see what happened. What is the reflection of this? The reflection of this is this. It's just the opposite. So you look at how Paris Hilton, how Kim Kardashian, the two systems that were between them was one were people who were like her, like Kim for her mother and her families. So they created the same type of structure, but it was around social media, and everything was staged, not real. So this is a tough concept to come up with, but if this is you surrounded by darkness, sure death. But if you get you two people who are surrounded by light, then you're going to see all the benefits. You see, it's the cross upside down, and so this is the configuration that unlocks the wealth. You got it? And this is what everybody else did because they understood where he was. Makes sense? This is 5D warfare. This is looking at someone with a lot of potential, seeing what they're doing, right? Disturbing them so they disrupt their whole environment. And then when they're unalive, you simply copy what they're doing and you basically, they get the train rolling, you push him off the train and you keep riding the train, right? Look at the new genre of in real life. So the in real life streaming, I think you're going to likely see similar. You're going to see people come up and then the dark forces around them take the things from them. And I think they're going to use it by the same mechanisms. Right? So let's see. So I think that's all. I think that's the point I wanted to make here. That configuration of caught between two sociopaths is sure death. However, caught between two people with empathy, that's sure success. I mean, it's sure success every time, right? Every time. So now, also, and it's important for you to understand that because if you are a saint, this is all these people trying to do. If you are a saint, if you have energy, this is all these people are trying to do. They're constantly trying to do this. This is their number one goal. When you are caught between these two, then there's no way that you're going to convince anybody of your side of the story. There's no way you're going to be able to convince anybody your reality. When you become trapped between those two sociopaths, no one's going to listen to you. Right? So in here, stay tuned, folks, for more episodes of Tupac was an actor, and I think next caught between two sociopaths. The next one, next part. I'm coming up with part 5. Please, if you feel free to like, share, subscribe. But next, I'm coming up with part 5. That Tupac was an actor. That Tupac had the same problem Michael Jackson had, and both of them were unalived for their resources. But the darkness of forces that came after Tupac were different than the strategies. The strategies of darkness of force uses to target Tupac was different than the targeting of Michael Jackson. but it was by the same mechanism. So let me just go. The targeting of the dark forces, these dark forces, or these people unconscious. The way the unconscious people around Tupac targeted him was by agitating the situation and then laying back and watching him get himself in trouble, right? And he can get himself in trouble on while all of them are creating the problems, magnifying the problems, giving him wrong information, and doing all these, having him behave so badly in public and things like that, and knowing that the natural laws of the jungle was going to take place, knowing that, right? And so the people around him was able to unalive him that way. And then everyone took all of his resources, right? Everyone jumped on all of the different veins of things that came out of his work. And all of them became billionaires on multiple levels, right? On multiple levels, they all became billionaires. You know, you had people becoming billionaires in the rap game, people become billionaires in the acting game, and things like that. The social media game, in real now, it's expanded to in real life. You know, they took all those things from Tupac. Okay, and so the next episode, we're going to talk about exactly how these forces surrounded Michael Jackson and how they went about unaliving him. And right now, the same people who unalived him are the ones who manage his multi-billion-dollar assets. Man, this game is cold. Let me tell you this, man. Hey, these people are vicious, right? Beware of the darkness. It's real. Hey, man. Hey, it's tough out there. I suggest you watch out for 5D warfare. I suggest you stay away from those narcissists. And if you find yourself between two of them narcissists, woo-wee, all you can do is run for your life. Run for your life. It was a pleasure. Read out. Take care, guys.